The San Diego and Arizona Eastern was a railroad between San Diego and El Centro, California, that was completed in 1919 and served passenger and freight traffic for decades, and pieces of it exist and are used to this day. In this video, we'll take a journey along the San Diego and Arizona Eastern exhibit at the San Diego Model Railroad Museum, an HO scale replica of this historic railroad as it appeared in the late 1940s and early 1950s. To learn more about the exhibit and the Model Railroad Club that built it, the San Diego Model Railroad Association, click the link at the top of this video description. Imagine it's a warm day in 1949. You've arrived in El Centro after a long trip on the Southern Pacific Railroad. The San Diego and Arizona Eastern is the last leg of the trip. You'll travel 146.4 miles from 49 feet below sea level up to 3,660 feet in the mountains and back down to sea level. It's quite a journey, but you're excited to be almost home. El Centro is the largest community in Imperial County. It's a railroad hub that connects San Diego with the rest of the nation and the Transcontinental Railroad. Folks traveling to San Diego from all over meet in El Centro to board a San Diego and Arizona Eastern Railroad train for the last leg. Once you're seated, you gaze out the window as the locomotive comes to life. The train pulls away from the station, headed west. Your train is a mix of passenger and freight cars, as the growing city of San Diego needs lumber, citrus, salt, cement, and more from other parts of California. Most of what you see is open desert, occasionally dotted by a highway. The first stop is Plaster City, the home of one of the largest gypsum mines in the U.S. Gypsum is an ingredient of interior and exterior plaster, drywall, and other building materials. This mine is operated by the United States Gypsum Company and brings much-needed economic life to the area. In the distance, you can just spot another smaller train traveling up the rocky slopes of the nearby mountains. This is a narrow-gauge mining train. These smaller trains can handle tight curves and steep slopes involved in mining and hauling. This narrow-gauge railroad, operated by the Gypsum Company, and extends 26 miles from the San Diego and Arizona Eastern into the mines. In this HO scale exhibit, the narrow gauge railroad is the only area that isn't depicting real life. Members of the San Diego Model Railroad Association built fictional communities inspired by the Old West. Now, back to your journey to San Diego. Leaving Plaster City behind, it's time for the train to climb. These mountains are one of the many reasons the San Diego and Arizona Eastern was dubbed the Impossible Railroad. And you can see why. It feels like you're about to fall right off the edge. The train makes a brief stop at the Dos Cabezas watering tower. Dos Cabezas is Spanish for two heads and is called such because of the nearby rocks resemble heads. Steam trains need to stop intermittently and refill on water and fuel. It's just a part of the travel experience in this day and age. Here at Dos Cabezas, water is pumped all the way from a spring 2 miles away. Lord knows, this engine will need all the help and fuel it can get for the journey ahead. The most breathtaking yet treacherous stretch of track encircles and crosses the Carrizo Gorge. This area requires frequent maintenance, as Mother Nature is particularly brutal to the gorge and the beautiful Goat Canyon trestle ahead. This engineering marvel has successfully supported dozens, if not hundreds, of trains in the past 30 years. But you can't help holding your breath as you cross the trestle and see the floor of the gorge, 900 feet below. Finally, you're through the last 17 tunnels that make up the gorge, passing the small communities that have sprung up along the railroad. Traveling through these mountains, which are southerly extensions of the famous Sierra Nevadas, could be a near dizzying experience due to the quick elevation changes and the lack of air conditioning. The next stop is Campo, a small depot in East San Diego County. Before you reach the depot, you cross the Campo Creek Viaduct, a 600-foot bridge that forms a necessary connection between the USA and Mexico. Custom inspections take place at the Campo depot as you're about to head into Mexico on track known as the Tijuana-Tecate line. This depot still stands today and is home of the Pacific Southwest Railway Museum, which still runs excursions in vintage trains along a small stretch of SD and A&E between Campo and Miller Creek. After leaving Campo, you enter a mountain tunnel, and the USA-Mexican border is somewhere in there. When you emerge, you're in the community of Tecate, home of the famous beer brewery that still stands and operates today. Grain and hops grown in the USA arrive at the brewery via San Diego and Arizona Eastern, and in return, the finished beer is exported to the U.S. on westbound trips. Gypsum from Plaster City is even used in the production of beer. You continue out of the mountains, over the Tijuana-Tecate Highway overpass, and about 10 miles south into Mexican territory. This is a result of a special agreement with the Mexican government. And in Mexico, this track is called the Tijuana-Tecate line. The communities of Agua Caliente and Tijuana were exciting tourist attractions during Prohibition. There were even special streetcars that took folks from the Tijuana station to horse races at the Tijuana Kennel Club. However, traffic slowed after the legalization of both alcohol and horse race betting in the United States. So now, they're back to quiet border towns. After about 44 miles of track through Mexico, the train is once again inspected by customs at Tijuana and crosses into San Ysidro. All that marks the border between the two countries is a short chain link fence. It's certainly very different than the border crossing today. Now that you're back into the United States, there's only a brief trip north until you reach the San Diego train station, known back then as Union Station, to represent that it was utilized by both the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad and the San Diego and Arizona Eastern Railroad. Today, this stretch of track makes up part of the Blue Line of the San Diego trolley system. The next stop is National City, where the train will pause and refill its ice. The passenger cars are detached from the train, and the locomotive takes the refrigerated or reefer cars to the icing platform. The cars need to keep food cold, and the only way to do that in 1949 is through massive supplies of ice. Across from the icing platform is the National City Depot, which still stands today and is a museum run by the San Diego Electric Railway Association. Finally, you're on your way to your final stop. You pass by factories, a tuna processing plant that smells less than pleasant, and the busy port of San Diego. In a given day, you can see dozens of other trains, especially freight trains, moving goods and people out of the port to stops beyond. Upon your arrival to San Diego, you disembark your train and grab your luggage. The station is so busy and important to the city that it's larger than the airport, not even 2 miles away. The San Diego Union Station may be the end of your journey, but the train itself doesn't stop there. There are people in communities of La Mesa, Lemon Grove, and Santee that need to get home. So they take the La Mesa branch line. Today, this makes up a large section of the San Diego Trolley's Orange Line. The San Diego and Arizona Eastern connected the growing city with the rest of the nation and helped drive the economy of both California and Mexico. However, Within 2 years of your trip, passenger travel on the SDA&E will cease. It simply was not profitable. The last passenger train departed San Diego on a gloomy winter day in January of 1951. Never fret though, passengers still ride these rails by a new name, thanks to the San Diego Trolley System and the Pacific Southwest Railway Museum. The San Diego and Arizona Eastern rarely, if ever, made a profit. It operated at a loss for much of its life. However, the San Diego Model Railroad Association has recreated it in HO scale, where we can share its priceless legacy as San Diego's gateway to a wider world.